Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Dylan Knows. It is March 25th, 11:56 p.m., almost March 26th, but it is March 25th, 2023. It is let me just say, let me welcome you to the show from fog-entrenched Reisterstown, Maryland. We are covered in fog right now because the temperature was like in the mid 40s most of the day today, and then we went out to dinner tonight. And then we came out of the restaurant, the temperature had gone up to the 50s. So temperature's going back up. It's going to get warmer, I think. I'm glad it is because this is the first week of spring and quite a eventful first week of spring we had here in Reisterstown and that I experienced. We talk a little bit about that. It is still presently for the next 4 minutes, Maryland Day. The University of Maryland women's basketball team, they advanced to the Elite Eight with a victory over number 3 Notre Dame. So good for them. They'll be moving on to the Elite Eight. They have a game on Monday, which will take them, if they win that one, to the Final Four. Monday is my sister's birthday. And tomorrow, the 26th, or within 3 minutes, whatever, it's going to be a nice rest day. My daughter and I are going to go grocery shopping into the Cal, which did reopen, which I'll tell you about that in a second. And my son is finally going to get his birthday trip with his grandmother. Only, let's see, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. Only 7 months later. But that's a whole nother situation, but we'll talk about that later. So, been quite a week, and we got some interesting casting coming up. We've got some interesting deaths, some interesting anniversaries, some interesting situations. Anything else really exciting? A lot of local news, a lot of casting stuff, some space things, statues, Republicans being stupid again, fun stuff like that. So let me just check one last time before we move on here, see if anything has popped up breaking news wise. Nope. I don't think so. Let's just nope. If there's anything breaking news, it probably would have popped up here right away. But it has not. There is nothing new going on here. So everything that we said about here, anything that pops up from this point on, will be in next week's show. Now, next week's show, we are entering the spring break portion of ours every year, but I don't have a spring break. My kids do, and my wife's going to take the week off to help them out, though. But yeah, March is almost over. This might actually be, I think about it, March 31st is a Friday, so this will probably be the last episode I do for March of 2023. So yeah, so it is Maryland Day also, which was when Maryland was officially became a state when it signed the Constitution. So it's only appropriate that there's a lot of Maryland stories this week, or local news stories, I like to call it. Not all good. Actually, none of them were good. But yeah. So let's see. What should we do? So let's just go on about this weird week because that connects sort of with the weird stuff that happened in my area this week. So Monday was the first day of spring. And so we're now officially in the spring season. Tuesday, a really good friend of mine quit their job at my job. That's where we were friends. So I miss them a lot. They went on to a better position, so good for them. But I still miss them. So that happened on Tuesday. Wednesday, the first big news that happened in the area, we have one main highway. We have a lot of main highways, but there's one highway called 695, which is one that you've probably heard me talk about a bunch of times. I go on it to go down to work all the time. We take it to go to Washington. Once we get on to get to the exit, it takes us to Washington, so on and so forth. It can take you all the way up to New York if necessary, stuff like that. Anyway, right around the area of Security Boulevard and Liberty Road, which is right not that far from my 795 exit. There's like a 795 exit, and then you drive a few miles and there's a Liberty Road exit, and then you drive a few miles after that and Security Road exit, and then this exit for 70 is right there. So that's how those sort of go. Anyway, in between those two on Wednesday, a woman was weaving her car in and out of traffic. And 695 is presently undergoing repairs. They always seem to be repairing it somewhere because there always seems to be repair crews on 695 to make it a better, I guess, experience. I don't know. But they keep working on it. Anyway, in this stretch, they're working on 695 for whatever. Anyway, this woman is weaving in and out of traffic, and this happened like midday on Wednesday. And as she's trying to get into this one lane, her car hits this other car. And because she's moving so fast, she hit this other person's car and ended up flipping her car into the work zone, killing 6 people. And the woman herself in the car, she died as well. So 7 people died in this car accident because this woman was driving, dangerously. And so they had to shut down 695 both ways, which I cannot stress how big that is. That is huge. That's like one of the main thoroughfares for people to get where they need to go is 695. And to shut down a portion of it for most of the day to do investigations and cleanup and stuff like that caused a lot of problems. So I had to take a back route through Baltimore City, which took forever. It took me an hour and 16 minutes to get home. Usually it takes me about 40 minutes because I took a back route to Pratt Street, which runs right down past the Inner Harbor. And then Pratt Street is extraordinarily busy because it's Baltimore City. It was rush hour. So it took me a long time to traverse Pratt Street and then turn left to get onto 83, which is another one of our big highways. And to get onto 83, you have to progress through a few lights. So we're backed up there also. But once we got onto 83, I shot right down 83 till it ended. And then as soon as I got off it, I have another back route I take. And I end up having to slow down and I wait in traffic again through lights for another like 20 some minutes. And then I take the back route home. And then I forgot that the area right next to my home, Glendon and Reisterstown, during rush hour, it's a 2-lane highway, a 2-lane road. So the traffic is a little bit heavy there. It wasn't as bad as these other places, but still it was enough to slow me down even more. So hour and 16 minutes. I left about 3:44. I got home about 5 o'clock. So that's what happened on Wednesday. On Thursday, there was a big news story about the whole crash on Wednesday. So Thursday, you'd think that people would be driving safer. Not so much. There was driving into work on 795 on Thursday. There was a brand new white Lexus that was weaving in and out of traffic. Now, it's 60 mile per hour on 795, but I go about 10, 15 miles over the speed limit. This person was going 20 plus miles over the speed limit and weaving in and out of traffic to get ahead of everybody because he didn't want to wait behind slow traffic. And that's what happened with this accident that killed those people. The same thing could have happened here, but it didn't, luckily, but still it could have. So that was annoying. And then on the way home on 695, from work, it was backed up for no apparent reason. There was no accident or whatever, so it took me a little longer than usual to get through the area, but there was nothing, no police activity. The crash site had been cleaned up. I couldn't even tell you where the crash site was. They did such a good job of cleaning up. And while I was on the road, excuse me, I got the hiccups, coughing, and all that stuff, and I don't have anything to drink, unfortunately, because I didn't get anything. I noticed a car that had a shade over their license plate so you couldn't read it. And that doesn't seem right. I don't think you should be allowed to do that because if you commit a crime, the person won't be able to read your license plate number. And if you go through speed cameras will be able to catch what your license plate number is, so you won't be able to get a ticket. And the thing is, it was an older lady, so I don't know what the situation. I'd seen that, I think, in a couple other cars. Like, that cannot be legal. And I'm wondering why no police cars have pulled her over and had it removed. Maybe they just haven't seen it yet. I don't know, but still, it just seems not right. And then also on the way home, I decided I had to get gas. So I got off and got onto Reisterstown Road, which is a regular type of typical road, not a highway. It's about 30 miles per hour on there. Schools and parks and restaurants and shopping centers, stuff like all along. And then Reisterstown Road turns into Main Street, which becomes our historic Main Street area. But anyway, I'm down by this park just past the high school, and there's 2 lanes of traffic here. Now, the one on the right is going to eventually, once we get to a light, you're going to have to turn right. It's a right turn lane only. So I'm driving along at my usual pace, about, as I said, going about 35 miles an hour, maybe 40, about 10 miles over the speed limit. And this car, again, is weaving on a regular road, not on the highway. And this one's going at least another 20 miles. So it's at least going 50, again, weaving in and out, just barely misses me. And then and it's just like, after everything that happened on Wednesday, you're still doing this shit. And that sort of pissed me off. But then nothing compared to what happened on Friday. So Friday morning, what I do is I get up at 5 o'clock, take my shower, make my lunch, and then sit down and just look at my phone until I get ready to leave at 6:30. And I'm looking at my phone, and someone from my Reisterstown page had said, hey, accident on 795 North, the exit onto 795 North. So it's shut down right there. I'm not going 795 North. I'm going 795 South. They said it was a tanker truck accident. I was like, okay. It's not going to affect me. But again, just like, Jesus, another accident within 2 days of a massive accident. It happened at 695. Now we have one on 795. And then I got out on the 795. And as I'm driving down 795, I noticed a giant plume of smoke. I mean, a massive plume of black smoke. And as I get closer, I realized the tanker truck was on fire. Now, again, it's on the other side. We have 795 North, and then there's the subway. There's like a stone and barbed wire sort of and gate, fenced in area. Then you have the train track for the metro that we have, and then the other wall. So there's a bit of a distance between stuff. So I'm getting closer. The smoke is just pluming out. Let me see if I can find the picture for you. I posted on my my social media. No. Where is it? Yeah. I don't know if you can see this. That's the smoke that I got a picture of from the. Unfortunately, I didn't get a picture of the fire, so I got to where the crash site was, and you could see the tanker truck was. It's a long tanker truck. It was entirely engulfed in flames. And as I'm driving by the flames, I can feel the heat. As I said, there's the road, there's the subway stuff, and then another road and stuff like that. So I still felt the massive amount of heat that was rolling off of there, and the smoke just kept billowing and billowing. So eventually I got down to work and start looking into more details about it. They eventually shut down 795 South as well to put the fire out. The fire had gotten onto the metro rail lines. So they had to put that out. They had to shut down the metro as well. And then they had to clean up the spill and the truck. And it was just, they said that the plume of smoke you could see all the way miles away to Towson, which is 20, 25 minutes away from where I am. You could see that plume of smoke that high, and as far down as like right near 70 as well. If you're coming up that way, you can see the smoke. It's so much. So it was just insane to see all that. And then I heard that 795 North, when I was leaving to go home, which is the way I would take, was still shut down. Found out eventually that one lane was still getting through, but it was still a long ass time. So I just decided to take my back route home, and it took me about an hour and 5 minutes to get home after that. So just another really kind of weird kind of week when it came to that sort of stuff. So a lot of weird stuff happened this week, and that's why today's episode 493 is called Highway to Hell, because of that storyline. So enough about that. Should we do the other hypocritical stuff? May as well, since we're on a roll here. For those who don't know, I am a strident Democrat. You can call me liberal if you want. I don't give a rat's ass. I feel that the Republicans aren't even really a party anymore. They are the MAGA fascist Nazi Klans people, and they're awful. All of them are awful. There is no redeeming Republicans in politics right now. Now, I do know some Republicans in person, but the fact that they're still backing these fascists is, I still like them as people, but the fact is they don't seem to quite understand what's actually happening in this country. And the thing I always say about the Republicans is they're a party of hypocrites. And you see that anywhere you mean, they're allowed to do stuff, but if the Democrats do that, you've got to take the consequences for it. Al Franken, for example, who was a congressman, he was a comedian. He had a picture taken of him, never really oogling, but doing, I forget exactly what it was, doing something to a woman who was passed out, but it wasn't anything awful. It was just sort of like a joke thing, like, I'm going to grab your tits or something like that. And the Republicans saw that, said, you have to resign because we can't have that type of thing together. And the Democrats said, yeah, you're going to have to, because the Democrats play by the rules. But then their top Republican people, they rape people, they traffic in women, they have sex with underage women. They get women pregnant and have them get abortions, even though they're trying to stop abortions for other people. One of the Congress people married a pedophile who showed his dick off to her friends, and she still fell in love with him and married him, even after all that. So they're the party of hypocrites, and yet they're all still in power. But a simple, not the best picture, but it wasn't a sexual assault or anything. They said he had to leave, and that just doesn't make any sense because the Democrats are weak when it comes to that. I think the Democrats need to stop playing the high road. They need to start getting down to the Republican level if we're going to save this country. But it's not going to happen because they say we can't do that because we lose ourselves. Like, no, you're already losing, and you're not going to win if you don't stoop to their level. So we'll see what happens. That's besides the point. But it's all hypocrisy to them. A good example is Florida is the worst state in the country now, even worse than Texas right now. I mean, Texas is a very close second, but Florida is slowly becoming Nazi Germany with their fascist governor in place. And one of the new things is that there was the classic statue of Michelangelo's David, which is a tall nude dude with his junk hanging out there. And it's a world-renowned piece of artwork. It is considered one of the classic sculptures of all time. And a bunch of Florida people saw this and had a conniption fit about the penis version, seeing the penis and saying it's pornography. Oh, what about the children? My heart is so stopped. So they're trying to ban any pictures of it or it being taught or anything like that about stuff like that. And yet there are statues all over Florida. There was one that was posted by somebody of two naked women frolicking with each other that no one's complained about. There's one of a young, like I'm talking 5, 6, 7-year-old kid with his dick hanging out that nobody's complaining about. And that's why my mind gets blown all the time because of the stupidity and the hypocrisy of these people. And it is absolutely frustrating that nothing is being done about it. The whole thing about, this week was going to be indictment week for Trump. Guess what? Haven't been indicted yet. Oh, he's going to get indicted on Tuesday. Nope. It has to be Wednesday. Nope. It's going to be Friday. Nope. And then he had one of his hate rallies at Waco, celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Waco attack, where people died. It was a cult. All right, I'm done. So I had to get that off my chest. Interesting casting. Adam McKay, who did his last film was Don't Look Up, which was a star-studded film about a giant comet that's going to hit the Earth, and how close it was to people reacting to it, saying it's not going to hit the Earth, or we're not going to do anything about it, or blah, blah, blah. So he's very good at doing that sort of thing. Well, his next film is shaping up to be something similar. And a great cast is already forming around it. Adam McKay's next film is the serial killer dramedy, Average Height, Average Weight. I think it's Average Height, Average Build. Sorry, Average Height, Average Build. And the cast includes Robert Pattinson, Robert Downey Jr., Amy Adams, Forrest Whitaker, and Daniela Deadwyler are the first people to be cast in this film. And now Adam McKay has been known to cast big time people through, for lots of parts of the movie. So this is just the first set of them. There's probably going to be a whole lot more that are going to make their appearances here really soon. We'll hear more about that, and I'll share them for you in the show. But the premise behind Average Height, Average Build, as I said, is a dramedy. It's about a serial killer who's going to be played by Robert Pattinson, who goes to a lobbyist played by Amy Adams, who he is trying to convince the government to pass laws that will make it easier for him to kill people. And Robert Downey Jr. plays a retired police officer who's been chasing him and is trying to figure out a way to stop him. So good cast popping up here already. And I can't wait to see where this is going to go. So kind of interesting about that. Now, Robert Downey Jr. also makes an appearance in this week's episode. He is also going to be headlining the Vertigo remake of the Alfred Hitchcock film Vertigo, which I always hate when they do remakes, but Robert Downey Jr. in a Vertigo remake could be interesting. We'll see how they play it. Could be kind of good. So we'll see what happens with that. Linda Blair will be reprising her role of Regan from The Exorcist in the new Exorcist movie coming out later this year. So she's going to pop, much like how I think it's David Gordon Green is a director. He directed the last Halloween trilogy, and how he got Jamie Lee Curtis to come in and finish up her sort of story as well. So they're going to do the same thing with Linda Blair to kind of do that with The Exorcist now. Makes sense. Eugene Levy has joined the cast of the romantic comedy Summer Camp. We'll be playing opposite Diane Keaton. I think that's a wonderful casting decision. Eugene Levy and Diane Keaton playing older lovers, I guess. It's kind of interesting to see how that's going to turn out. This may be kind of cool. Adrienne King, who was in the original Friday the 13th movie, and talks to star in the new Friday the 13th TV show called Crystal Lake. I'm assuming reprising her role from the original movie. Again, sort of a nostalgic sort of thing, which we'll get to nostalgia here in a few minutes. Zendaya is being eyed for a Fly remake, the remake of the horror film about the fly, about the guy who gets turned into a fly. The last remake was Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis, and then the previous one was Vincent Price, I think, in the 1960s or 50s. But Zendaya is now being eyed to star in the Fly remake. Now, I don't know if she's going to be turned into the fly or she would be playing the love interest. Don't know, because anything could happen now the way things are going. It might be interesting to see a female version of the Fly, to see her turning into a fly, even though it is Zendaya. You don't want her to see her turn into a fly, but you may as well give it a try, see what happens. Kumail Nanjiani, Patton Oswalt, Jamie Acoster, Emily Allen Lind have joined Ghostbusters Firehouse, which has started filming. The sequel to Ghostbusters Afterlife is due to come out in December. I don't know how they're going to do that. If they're filming now, if they film, let's say, through May, and then they have like May, June, July, August, September, October, November. I guess they have about 6 months to do special effects. I guess it's a lot quicker than it was back in the 80s when the original Ghostbusters came out. Maybe they can be able to get it out. But the cast from Ghostbusters Afterlife should be coming back. We know that the family is coming back. We know that Paul Rudd is coming back. We know that they actually plays Lucky is coming back. Don't know if Podcast is coming back or not. And I think the only former Ghostbuster who has signed on has been Ernie Hudson. So I don't know if the others will be in it, but I think it'd be nice to see Ernie Hudson be more of the focus instead of Danny and Billy. So we'll see what happens. So could be interesting. Rob Zombie used to be a production assistant on Pee-wee's Playhouse before he became the singer and director that we know and love now. And that's blew my mind absolutely today. Never thought that would happen. Owen Wilson believes that Loki season 2 is now headed for a debut in September. It was supposed to come out in the summer, but due to being pushed back a little bit, Owen Wilson mentioned that he believes that it might be coming out in September now. So that makes pretty good sense, I guess. So there we go. The Indiana Jones TV show that Disney Plus was considering doing, either it was going to be a prequel series or a epilogue series, whatever, has been scrapped by Disney Plus. So, oh well, didn't really think I'd be that interested in it anyway, but we'll see. Anne Hathaway and Thomasin McLance are their thriller Eileen is coming out this fall. So Anne Hathaway's got some stuff rolling in here in a little bit. Some behind the scenes shots from Joker 2 includes Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn in sort of more Harley Quinn sort of outfit. And also looks like that there may be another Batman character making an appearance in Joker 2, as it looks like Harvey Dent will be in, not Two-Face, but Harvey Dent will be in the movie as well. The Walking Dead spinoff Dead City with Laurie Cohen and the guy who plays Negan, I forget his name right now, is due out on June 18th, 2023, 2 days before my 50th birthday. So that's a Sunday. I think that's Father's Day. So interesting. Daniel Radcliffe and his longtime girlfriend, Erin Dark, are expecting their first child. So good. Daniel now is the second of the Golden Trio to have a kid. Rupert Grint was the first. Emma is still doing her thing, and that's fine. No rush for her. It'll affect her more than it'll affect these two guys, I'll tell you that much. But that's besides the point. Victoria Alonso, who was the Marvel Cinematic Universe executive, was fired this week, and I really don't understand the situation about why. That came to a surprise to her. Marvel seems to be having some sort of issues. Same with Disney Plus. I don't quite understand what's going on with those, and I hope they're not listening to the haters out there who are saying that everything is terrible in the world of Disney Plus. They're just people that hate Disney and hate their success that they're doing. So you just got to kind of ignore them a little bit. Speaking of that, unfortunately, there is some bad news. Jonathan Majors, who plays Kang, will be playing Kang, or maybe not after this, and was in Creed 3, was arrested today for allegedly assaulting a woman in New York. So we'll see how that all plays out. But that could indeed affect things in the future, because you don't want a abusive asshole being the main bad guy in your Marvel Cinematic Universe, because people are still going to hate on that, which, DC should learn anything about, because Ezra Miller is a psychopath who's worse than this guy. And they're still talking about how great the Flash movie is. And Tom Cruise, of all people, comes out and says it's a great movie. It's like, whatever, dude, shut the fuck up. Dan Snyder's a fucking ass. Not Dan Snyder. Zack Snyder's a fucking asshole. And his crew is a bunch of bullshit. That's besides the point. Paramount will be adapting the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Last Ronin series into a video game. That makes sense. The Last Ronin was a attempt to do like a Dark Knight Returns, but with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, with one of the turtles surviving and trying to survive in a world that he doesn't recognize and stuff like that. So crazy things there. Image is going to be publishing a Megalopolis graphic novel based on a Francis Ford Coppola short story. He's working on the movie right now, and it's supposed to be out, I think, later this year, but he's having budgetary issues. Surprise! It's a Francis Ford Coppola movie, and you're having budget issues? It's like, saying that the sky is blue, the sun will be out in the morning. Gamera Rebirth trailer for Netflix was released this week. It's arriving sometime in 2023, but it's animated. It's an anime, and it actually looks kind of cool, so that might be one to look into. I was thinking they were going to be doing a Gamera live action show. I think someone still is, but this was a animated anime that I didn't know about. Attack on Titan is going to be selling 3D sword replicas. So, sword replicas always are a big deal. They do pretty good. in sales wise if you have the money. So go for it. Todd McFarlane's Spawn film with Jamie Foxx has just gotten an increased budget, a bigger budget. So we'll be seeing more about that probably very soon. Pokemon Horizons, which is going to be the first Pokemon cartoon without Ash Ketchum in it, released its first trailer. It's due out next month in Japan, and it'll hit America a few months later. It's going to be focusing on the Paldea region, which is what is in the most recent Pokemon game, Scarlet and Violet. New cast of characters, though. Captain Pikachu does make an appearance. Don't know if that's Ash's Pikachu or if it's just a general Pikachu who's dressed up like a captain and is on a boat. So we'll see what happens with that. A mom and daughter visited a haunted hotel wearing just lingerie, so ghosts would be happier. That's outstanding. It's something that they should make a video of that. They should make a show about that. But yeah, that's a neat idea. I mean, showing up in lingerie into a haunted house, haunted apartment in this place, and doing it to make the ghosts feel happier. Yeah, you should do it more often. Absolutely. 17-year-old Girl Scout builds a drive-up kiosk to sell her cookies. So it's pretty smart, Girl Scout there, and probably got a lot of sales out of that. New Mexico is hiring professional bear huggers. I'm assuming for bears in custody and baby bears, particularly who lost their moms. Maybe. I don't think you want to go out into the woods and just hug bears. It just doesn't seem right. But I think it's a zoo thing or a natural habitat thing or a habitat place or whatever for them. Scientists have made a 7-ingredient 3D printed cheesecake. I'm still trying to grasp my head around how a 3D printer actually works. I still don't know, and I still question how a 3D printer can create food or an eye or limbs or teeth. I don't understand how that works, and I don't understand how they can make a cheesecake that you can actually eat that tastes like a cheesecake through a 3D printer. I don't understand it, but it happened. So okay. Now it's been a while, and I should have been doing this the last couple of weeks, but I hadn't. But The Mandalorian's new season came out March 1st, and here we are 24, 25 now days later, and I haven't even talked about the new season yet. They've got 4 episodes under their belt. We'll do quick reviews of all the episodes, so some slight spoilers might pop up here. So if you haven't seen them yet, you might want to fast forward through the sequence because obviously nobody's watching live right now. Anyway, the first episode of The Mandalorian was basically just set up for the season. It's set up potential bad guys and these space pirates. It reintroduced Carl Weathers' character that shows the planet that the Mandalorian started off on in season 1 has now changed for the better. And so that was really just a lot of setup to get that going. And then the second episode focused on, then he went to see Bo-Katan, played by Katie Sackhoff, who voiced her in the Clone Wars TV show, and told her that he needed to get to the waters underneath Mandalore to get himself redeemed. And I thought that was going to be the long-form story of the season. But lo and behold, in the second episode, he makes his way down to Mandalore and makes his way into the pool with the help of Bo-Katan and Grogu, and is able to bathe in the waters, but almost dies twice. And Katie Sackhoff's Bo-Katan has to save him. And while he walks into the pools under Mandalore thinking they're going to be shallow, and then he falls down a deep crevice and lands at the bottom. So Bo-Katan has to go in and save him. And as she's bringing him back up, she sees the mythical mythosaur is in the pool looking at her. So it was a myth, a story, but now it's real. And now she's kind of conflicted about how things are going. But he got the Mandalorian got his water he needed and went back to his clan, and he was able to get himself redeemed. And then since Bo-Katan lost the planet Mandalorian, and the place where she was hanging out now got destroyed by the Empire, or whatever the Empire is now. And since she bathed in the waters as well and has not taken off her helmet, once Mandalorian got redeemed, the Mandalorians also said that she could be redeemed also and join their clan, and so she said she would. So that's how that worked out. Then the third episode took a little bit of a segue where we follow up on some of the stuff that's been happening in the Star Wars world when people who were used to be in the Empire go into these rehabilitation facilities to become, good people, part of society again, to help the New Republic. And we meet up with a couple of old characters from Moff Gideon's ship, and we find out what's going on with them. And the doctor who was in the first season, who wanted Grogu, who was working on cloning, gets tricked by a woman who was in, I don't really remember her too much, I guess it's the first or second season, who works for Moff Gideon, into stealing a clone thing, and then gets his mind erased by this woman. So there's got to be something going on with that. And then the most recent episode had Grogu starting to train up as a Mandalorian because he was a foundling. It's about time for him to start learning how to be a Mandalorian, since he made that choice in Boba Fett to either be a Jedi or Mandalorian, and he went with a Mandalorian. So he's got to learn how to be a Mandalorian. So they gave him some armor, and they got him to fight with another foundling. And the foundling that he fought with got kidnapped by a giant bird creature, and Bo-Katan and Din Djarin and the rest of the Mandalorians had to go and save him. Meanwhile, we find out that Grogu was saved by a Jedi we'd never seen before, played by actor Ahmed Best, who was who played Jar Jar Binks. But this is a totally different character, and we get just a basic idea. We'll probably learn more about his escape because we basically just see him getting saved by Ahmed Best's Jedi, and then escaping in a spacecraft from Naboo, which we believe people are theorizing that Padme Amidala had a backup plan to get Jedi out of here. So she had people there to help get them out of there. So that could be an interesting thing to come up with. So the first four episodes came up pretty good so far. Fun to watch. I've had no problems with them. They've been good. We're at the halfway point of the season, so we got 4 more episodes to go, and that's it. So going with that. Anniversary for this week. 51 years ago this week, The Godfather came out. So the original one. So that was good. I just showed that to my daughter a couple weeks ago. Deaths, we have Nicholas Lloyd Webber, the son of Andrew Lloyd Webber, died at the age of 43. He was a composer as well. And Leroy Raffel, one of the founders of Arby's, died at the age of 96 this week as well. So that's page 1. So also this week, the Cow opened here, right, and locally here in Reisterstown. So some more local news. The Cow is our version of Rita's. It's a Italian ice and soft ice cream place that also does all kinds of stuff, but it is local. It is good, has close to 50 plus Italian ices and about 5 or 6 different flavors of ice cream you can use now. And they also do milkshakes and banana splits and all kinds of stuff. So they got all kinds of great things. So it's fun. My daughter and I are probably going to head to that place a little later today. We'll do some grocery shopping today, and then we'll probably hit the Cow afterwards for that. March 25th was also my 14th year on Twitter. So I've been on Twitter for 14 years as of yesterday, March 25th. Another weird thing that happened this week, a huge solar tornado, 14 times as tall as Earth, was spotted on the surface of the sun. So basically a giant solar tornado erupted off of the surface of the sun and could be seen 14 times the size of Earth coming off of the sun. So that's crazy, man. That's absolutely insane stuff going on there. Some more local news, not so good. A body was found in Loch Raven Reservoir, which is on the other side of the county, but still, it's always weird to find dead bodies in bodies of water. So, okay, we had that happen. That's kind of ugh. Julia Louis-Dreyfus received the National Medal in Arts Award from President Joe Biden. So congratulations to her. It's a high honor for her. So that's fantastic. Cheech and Chong are going to have a biopic made about them, directed by Christian Mercado. So that could be interesting to see how that actually works out. TJ Newman will be adapting her very own survival thriller that she wrote, and she's going to be adapting it to a film called Falling for Universal. The story is about an airline pilot who, the minute he takes off with 189 people on board the plane, discovers that his family has been kidnapped and that they will be killed if he does not crash the airplane. So that's going to be a thriller. She also wrote a book called Drowning, which is also, she's a former flight attendant. So she's got a lot more stuff. Drowning, which hasn't come out yet, but will be out soon, and will probably return to a movie as well, is about an airplane that crashes after a flight off the coast of California, and they have to survive and stuff like that. So interesting stuff. I still need to find my Peepsy. I think it's at Walmart, so I'm going to have to make my way down to Walmart here for the next couple of weeks. I want to try the Peep soda before it disappears after Easter. But Peeps are all over the place, so much so that Peeps now have a Peeps flavored Body Tech protein powder. So Body Tech protein powder is one of those powders you can get that'll help you build muscle and stuff like that. Helps you get you your protein. And they now have a Peeps flavored version of it. I think it's a couple, like 2 Peeps flavored versions of it. So even the protein powders are getting into the Peeps stuff. Outdoor cats are using $500 Starlink satellite dishes as self-heating beds. It's interesting to see like 5 or 6 of them on top of there. Daniel Radcliffe made an appearance earlier in the show with him becoming a dad here. He's also been nominated in the BAFTA TV Awards for Best Actor in a Limited Series. So let's hope he wins that. The Drops of God manga will be getting a live action series on Apple TV Plus. So Netflix isn't the only one that's doing live action anime. Hershey's milk chocolate scented bath fizzy bars is a thing where you can have a bath bomb that smells like Hershey's chocolate. So good on that. Creative 2.0 was released on Fortnite this week. I'm not a creative person, so I don't like to play creative, but it's much better. The graphics are better. You can do more things about it. And again, going towards the nostalgia thing, which I'm going to be talking about here about that in a second. A lot of the people have been screaming for the original OG map of Fortnite to come back. Well, now you can play it in the new version of Creative with the new, better effects than it was when it first came out. So, but it's the exact replica of the OG map, but just with better graphics. Now, that I have people, complain about that on my Fortnite sites on Facebook that I follow. And I really think it's just for a nostalgia factor. And I've been doing a lot of research and checking on things over the last week, and something just sort of clicked in my head. Last fall, I started a secondary show called Conversations with Myself, which I said would be whenever I felt like doing it, whatever. And I had plans to do a bunch at Christmas and for, what's coming in 2023 and a look back at 2022, blah, 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 but things just didn't come together. So my last episode, it's the third one. I did 3 of them already, and the third one was about Thanksgiving. So way back in November was the last time I did that. Well, I think later today, I'll be doing chapter 4 of Conversations with Myself. I'll be taking a walk down the nostalgia path And this is going to be one of the things I'm going to bring up as well. But nostalgia is sort of running rampant here, but I'll talk about that later. But I just want to let you guys know that I would be doing another episode of Conversations with Myself later today, probably after I do grocery shopping in the Cal. Later today, I'll be doing a version of Conversation with Myself, Chapter 4, the Nostalgia Zone. So we'll be talking about that soon. So stay tuned for that. Brandy and Paolo Montalban are reprising their roles as Cinderella and the Prince in the new Disney Plus movie Descendants 4. They were the stars of a live action version of Cinderella back in early 2000, I think, with Whitney Houston as the fairy godmother. And so now to have them come back 20 some years later to see what's going on with them, to be part of this Descendants storyline, which is about, fairy tales, makes perfect sense. So I'm glad that that's going to be happening. Now, I've been wondering why Wind River has been getting so much, that Wind River Next Chapter has been getting so much press lately. And then I realized that the original Wind River, which starred Jeremy Renner, Elizabeth Olsen, and Graham Greene, was written and directed by Taylor Sheridan, who is the big thing now with Yellowstone and all his myriad of spinoffs like that. So that's why it's become such a big deal, and why they created a sequel, which Sheridan has nothing to do with, but it's called Wind River, the Next Chapter, and has added actors Alan Ruck, Gil Birmingham, Katie Rice, and Tafunda Mary. I can't read my own handwriting, to be cast in that movie as well. So there you go. Seth Rogen and Rose Byrne will be reteaming for an Apple TV Plus series called Platonic. They played a married couple in two movie. I forget what it's called, but it's about a young couple that moves in next door to a fraternity, and it gets them on. They get to go to war with the fraternity. Then the sequel has them going to war with a sorority as they're trying to sell their house because his wife, Rose Byrne, is pregnant, and they need to start their family and move on and try to sell the house, but they can't when it's sandwiched between a fraternity and sorority, which are at war with each other, and they're caught in the middle. So I forget what that series of movies is called, but they were reteaming on an Apple TV Plus series called Platonic. Now, Michael Mann, the director of many, many films, including one of his most famous ones, Heat, has written a novel, which is a sequel to Heat, called Heat 2. There you go. Excuse me. Called Heat 2. And of course, he wants to make a movie of it. The problem is, the original Heat came out in the 90s, and here we are 20, 25, 30 plus years later. And the main actors in it, Val Kilmer, Robert De Niro, and Al Pacino, are too old. Well, spoiler alert, De Niro's character dies, so he's not going to be in it, so that's not a worry. Val Kilmer has the vocal issue, so he can't act in it, plus he's older now. And Al Pacino's older in it. However, Al Pacino is being rumored to be in the eventual movie adaptation. But we also have Austin Butler and Adam Driver also being considered for the roles as well. So basically, the reason why I bring this up is because Heat 2, the sequel to Heat, literally takes place seconds after the end of Heat. So you can't really do a movie because, as I said, Al Pacino is much older than he was in that movie, and Val Kilmer's unavailable. So you got to recast a couple of those. Though they say Pacino will be back, I don't know how, because he's 20, 30 years older and looks it, unless they do some sort of deep fake or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, we'll keep an eye out on that. But Adam Driver and Austin Butler are now in the talks, probably to portray the role of Val Kilmer's character. That would probably be better suited probably for an Adam Driver. Maybe Austin. Either one of them could play it, I think. And then I guess the other one could play a new character that we haven't seen yet. So Heat 2 is going to be made into a movie eventually. If you want to read what it's all about, I think the movie's out. I mean, I think the book's out already now. So if you enjoyed the Heat movie and you want to hear how the follow-up is, then I think the novel is out now. It's called Heat 2, I think. And of course, since it's Michael Mann wrote it, he's going to want to make it into a movie. So as I said, they're trying to figure out how they're going to cast it. So that's pretty good. Peaky Blinders writer Stephen Knight is taking over Damon Lindelof's Star Wars film. Damon Lindelof left the film last week, I believe. Excuse me. And Stephen Knight has taken over as the writer for it. Kyle Mooney to direct, Jonah Hill to produce, and Alicia Silverstone and Rachel Zegler to star in A24's, which is one of the hottest film production companies right now, new comedy Y2K, which takes place on December 31st, 1999. And I'm surprised that we haven't had a movie set at that time recently. So here we are. We have one. So could be interesting. Particularly, you got Alicia Silverstone making a comeback. Rachel Zegler is a good actress, and you got Jonah Hill producing. And it's Y2K. So good for nostalgia. Speaking of nostalgia, y'all know Tommy Wiseau. He did The Room. Hello, Mark. Stuff like that. Well, his new movie, he has a trailer coming out. He's got a new movie called Big Shark. And it's exactly what you think it is, a giant shark that attacks people on land. And it's Tommy Wiseau. So, yeah. Last week, I mentioned the Five Nights at Freddy film from Blumhouse is gone into production. And I think I told you that Matthew Lillard is starring in it. Well, we get some more stars in there. Josh Hutcherson, was big claim to fame was the Hunger Games movie and has really done anything since, has slowly started making a comeback now. He now sees in a movie coming out, or he's going to start working on a movie last week, coming up soon. But he's also been cast in this movie, as has Mary Stuart Masterson, Kat Cornier Steely, and Elizabeth Lale have all been cast in it. They currently are filming it right now. So very, very interesting. Alex Metcalf, Kaz Firpo, and Ryan Firpo will be the showrunners for the Amazon Prime TV series and some what is it? Butch and Sundance. That's what it is. Butch and Sundance, the series based on the Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid movie. It's going to star Bridgerton's Regé Jean Page and Top Gun Mavericks Glenn Powell. So we have the showrunner set, and I think the actors might not have signed on, but they are very close to signing on. Now, again, speaking of nostalgia again, and since it's after midnight, I can get a little blue here now. Growing up during my, that's the easy, good way to say it, it's my sexual exploration period, let's just say, there was an underground adult comic called Cherry. It was originally called Cherry Pop-Tart, but was changed to Cherry with the third issue due to Cherry Pop-Tart potentially suing Larry Weltz, who was the writer and artist of it. Basically, it is sort of has the Archie comics look, but it's a pornographic comic book about Cherry Pop-Tart who goes around and fucks everything that she can, and her mom is a whore and she fucks everything as well. And her best friend fucks everything. So it's a pornographic comic, and it's actually really good. It's a really interesting one. It's some good artwork, and yes, it was very nice during my sexual exploration period. I actually still have them located in these premises somewhere. But the reason I bring it up is Cherry Pop-Tart is going to make her first appearance in almost 25 years in a new series, a new sci-fi sex comic called Money Shot. Now, the first series of Money Shot came out a couple years ago, was fairly popular, and now this is a new series it's a science fiction sex comedy about a group of astronauts who are sexually active with aliens, stuff like that. And so the new series, is going to cross over with Cherry Pop-Tart. So we get appearance of Cherry Pop-Tart there. So the old late teen, early 20 version of myself is like, ooh, I kind of like to check that out and see what they do with that. So there we go. Sorry if I got a little blue, but that's the way it is. Speaking of the Hunger Games and Josh Hutcherson, the original Hunger Games movie came out 11 years ago this week. The sequel, or not, I shouldn't say the prequel, got a new poster this week. It's coming out November 17th. I forget the name of something in Songbirds and something else like that. But the prequel will be coming out here in November 17th, so I'm sure that's going to do very well. Police Academy The original Bawdy comedy with Steve Guttenberg is outstanding. The Police Academy movies are great. The first 4 are great, and then it gets pretty bad after that. But the first one came out this week in 1984. It's a pretty good one. And my personal favorite one was Police Academy 3, came out in 1986. So those are 2 that came out this week. So I can't believe they did it every year. So 84 Police Academy came out, 85 Police Academy 2 came out, 86 Police Academy 3 came out. I mean, they're easy ones to make, and they're silly, and they made money. So, and I just liked the third one better. But the first one is a true R-rated one that gets a little bit body, has Kim Cattrall in it, and it gets a bit more body. But they realized that more people could watch a PG-13 one than an R-rated one, so they toned down some of the sexual stuff and turned it more into a silly comedy movie, and it skyrocketed. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze, came out in 1991, most notorious for the Vanilla Ice Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go, Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go song is in that one. But the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles live action series have always been kind of interesting. I remember watching the first one and enjoying it and seeing how well they actually were able to produce a live action version of it. And I think that I only saw the first one. I think I've seen the second one, but I do seen bits and pieces of it. But the costumes still look fairly realistic, and they still look kind of cool. And it was nice to see that that's coming back here a little bit. Deaths this week continued. Norman Steinberg, who wrote Blazing Saddles and co-wrote Blazing Saddles, I should say, and My Favorite Year, died this week. Michael Reeves, the Real Ghostbusters and Batman animated series writer, died this week at 72. Jeffrey J.V. Vandergrift, a popular San Francisco radio talk show host, was found dead this week as well. So that's your deaths for this week. Page 3. J.K. Simmons, Frank Grillo, Scott Conn, and Virginia Madsen are starring in a movie called One Day as a Lion. Trailer for that came out this week. It just basically is about a hitman whose son has been arrested, and he has got to do one last job to get money to free his son, has to go after a tough as nails guy, and then there's another hitman involved with it. So it's kind of one of these really wild sort of hitman sort of things. So coming out here soon. Suzumi anime trailer came out. I couldn't tell you what the story was about, but it looks gorgeous. But that came out. It's going to actually come out in movie theaters, I think. So it's it's true anime coming out in the movie theaters, which hasn't happened in a really long time. You had Cocaine Bear. Now you have Cocaine Cougar. You're going to start seeing a lot more of these as well. This is another one of those independent film sort of things. And then Mike Chiklis and Danny Pino are going to star in Hotel Cocaine, which is an MGM Plus series. I didn't know MGM Plus had their own streaming service, but they do. And the thing from it is going to be that. The Academy Award winning directors of Everything Everywhere All at Once, the Daniels, will be directing at least one episode of the new Star Wars live action series, The Skeleton Crew, probably coming out later this year. That's the one with Jude Law, by the way. The Gears of War movie gets a Marvel MCU and Dune screenwriter to write their screenplay. So you got some good things there. You Hurt My Feelings trailer stars Julia Louis-Dreyfus in it. Didn't get a chance to look at it because the trailer that I clicked on said I had to get permission from the the guy who posted it, and I didn't know them, so I just moved on with that, and I just didn't get a chance to go back and look at it. But it looks like a serious sort of film and gives Julia Louis-Dreyfus a chance to be star in her own sort of film without anybody really around to screw around with her. I mean, hell, she just won that National Arts Award, so fantastic. Ava Longoria's Flaming Hot Cheetos film will be released simultaneously on Disney Plus and Hulu, which makes me really happy because now I can go see it. It's one of those that I was just like, well, I want to see it. Yes, I do want to see it. Heidi Fleiss drama is coming to HBO Max. She was the Hollywood Madam, and we're going to learn all about her life in this HBO Max series. The Writers Guild of America will allow AI to write screenplays as long as a writer gets credit for it, which seems to me like the writer, the way this AI sort of thing works now is that the writer gives the AI like 3 sentences, descriptions. So like write a movie about blah, blah, blah. And so they'll input the information there, and then the AI will write the script using those things. And that's what they're thinking about. The Writers Guild is saying that they will allow that to happen, but the writer who gave the 3 sentences or whatever to the AI will be the one that gets the credit for the writing, even though the AI did it. And I don't think the AI is going to take very well to that, and that's when you get Skynet. So Easter is, as I said, just right around the corner. This upcoming weekend, April 1st and 2nd, is the last weekend before. Hold on. No, April 2nd is Holy Week. Is right, the beginning of Holy Week. It's Palm Sunday. So next Sunday, 1 week from today, is Palm Sunday. And then it's Holy Week, which is spring, coincides with spring break for my kids. And then it's Good Friday on the 7th. Yes. The 7th, and then the 8th is Easter Saturday, and then the 9th is Easter Sunday. So Easter's coming up here. So if you have CBD and you like CBD, they're now Jelly Belly's releasing 38 flavors of CBD jelly beans just in time for Easter. So good on that. Jimmy Garoppolo, former quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers and the New England Patriots, has signed with the Las Vegas Raiders. And because he's such a good-looking young man, the Vegas Strip Club has given Jimmy G a $500,000 lifetime membership to their strip club. And also the Bunny Ranch, which is where prostitution is legal. You can go and legally screw women for money. Have offered him to come and visit as well. Sure. Talked about Mrs. Davis, the first trailer for it came out last week. This is a better description of it. Mrs. Davis series encompasses 11 genres that deal with 57 themes. That's how crazy that show is going to be. So they're really building that up, and hopefully it'll do successful, and that'll be interesting. A truck crashes into a Disney park. I don't know which one it was, but the guy drove right into Disney Park with the truck. So probably in Florida, because the fascist governor down there is screwing with Disney right now, and his fascist followers will probably want to screw with Disney also, which should be illegal. But apparently, doing stuff like that is no longer illegal. But a truck did crash into Disneyland when that happened. Also this week, that surprised a lot of people, 2 earthquakes happened within the same hour on opposite sides of the country. A 6.5 earthquake hit in Afghanistan, and a 5.6 earthquake hit in Chile within the same hour. So you would assume that if one goes off, it would trigger the other one. So it makes sense that you had the 2 go off at the same time within the same hour. But I haven't ever really seen that before, to be honest. Pillsbury is going to be releasing Cinnamon Toast Crunch and Lucky Charms soft baked cookies. They look actually pretty good, so that might be something to look out for and make some of those. Eddie Redmayne is going to be starring in a remake of the conspiracy theory movie Day of the Jackal, but it's going to be for a TV series for Peacock. It's basically about a normal guy that gets brainwashed into becoming an assassin. Rashida Jones and Kate McKinnon will be starring in The Blink of Eye, a sci-fi drama going to be directed by Andrew Stanton, who I believe was the director of Finding Nemo and a bunch of other Pixar before he did his John Carter film, which got a lot of hate. Let's just double check that. Yes, he did. He also directed WALL-E. Finding Nemo, Finding Dory, John Carter, WALL-E, I think. Up. Let me see. These are just ones he worked on. Directed. Okay. Finding Dory, John Carter, Wall-E, Finding Nemo, A Bug's Life. So those are the ones that Andrew Stanton did. Okay. So yeah, so he's good Pixar background, but we'll see how he does live action. But he's got a good cast there, and it's a sci-fi thing, and hopefully he'll do better than the Andrew Carter thing did. Cameron Diaz, who was coaxed back into acting after being away from it for so long, has left the film that was going to be her return after Jamie Foxx, her co-star, had a meltdown on the set. Don't know if she's just done or her role was done filming, or she just said to hell with film, they're going to have to recast. I don't know, but that's an interesting story that she will not be returning to film after all. Maxine casting rumors have Kevin Bacon, Helena Bonham Carter, and singer Halsey involved with that. Don't know much about Maxine. It's Maxxxine, so I don't know what that much is about, but we'll see what that's all about. If that actually, but it's a good cast if those three get cast in it, so it should be interesting. Andy Kaufman is going to be inducted into the World Wrestling Federation's Hall of Fame. For those who don't know about Andy Kaufman, he did a whole wrestling thing back in the early 80s that brought attention to wrestling when wrestling was just trying to find its way. And then he kind of helped him get people to come see it. And then the Hulk Hogan's and stuff like that took off and stuff like that. So it makes sense to get Andy Kaufman inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. So congratulations to him, posthumously, of course. Frosted Flakes is going to be teaming up with Minecraft for a Frosted Flakes cereal with green creeper marshmallows. So should be good. Frosted Flakes are good, and you add marshmallows to it. Why not? Cillian Murphy to star in an adaptation of Small Things Like These. I think Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are producing that. So it's kind of interesting. Cells at Work, a really interesting manga that I got my wife and daughter involved in. Basically, it focuses on your body, and inside they give red blood cells and white blood cells, stuff like that. They humanize them, so they have humans running around, talking about how to fix the body. They're doing a live action film with that, so that could be really interesting if they do that. Jumping on the nostalgia factor, Kiefer Sutherland has stated that he wants to come back and do some more 24, though he hasn't done it for close to 6 to 7 years. He finally has a new idea for it. And it's like, dude, you got to stop. I mean, you're too old and the series is gone and you don't need to bring it back. Animal Crossing New Horizons will be unplayable in 2061. So basically 2061 is the last time you'll be able to play Animal Crossing New Horizons, which came out of nowhere during COVID when people were stuck at home, and they bought that game and it gave them a chance to interact with people, and it became one of the hugest games out there during the COVID years of 2020. And it's still very popular, though I haven't heard as much about it recently. But yes, you will no longer be able to play Animal Crossing New Horizons in 2061. Speaking of that, Nintendo is rumored to be releasing an open world Donkey Kong game, and I think that's an outstanding idea. If they did that, I might have to end up playing that as well, because their open world Pokemon games have been really, really good recently as well. Anniversaries, Basic Instinct, 31 years ago this week. Yes, that's the sex thriller, which we don't have enough of those anymore, but it brought a very, very sexiness to Hollywood with the luscious Sharon Stone. And you should see the uncut version. Actually, it's a little bit more heat with that, including some oral sex involved with that, which is really good anyway. Wild Things, speaking of sexy stuff, Wild Things came out 25 years ago this week. That's Neve Campbell and Denise Richards having that threesome with Matt Dillon. Oh my God, that was gorgeous. And then the two of them having a little lesbian sort of thing was great as well. Bill Murray and Kevin Bacon are in it as well. It's a really underrated sort of film. Yes, it's very sexually charged, but it's also a really good drama as well, with some good performances by the actors. Liar Liar, Jim Carrey's fourth or fifth really big film in a row. Came out 26 years ago this week, 1997. One thing I remember about that was the Friday it came out, that Sunday was the Oscars, and he came out in the suit that he wears in that. And Liar Liar had a huge opening weekend. And I remember him coming out to introduce something or whatever for the Oscars. And he did his little stance as the character did and said, "How was your weekend?" Because it was, he had an outstanding weekend. I remember that. It's weird things that you remember, but I do remember him doing that, the Oscars that weekend after his movie came out, and did a huge, let's see, how much did it make in its opening weekend? It made a ton of money. That's why he was able to, make that little statement. Let me just see if it'll have it in here. Okay, let me see the plot. I need to know the cast, production, reception. The film is the second of 3 Carrie Shadiak collaborations, all which extremely well at the box office. The opening weekend made $31,423,025. It was the second highest 3-day opener ever for Universal Studios, only coming second to Jurassic Park. So that's why he had that sort of attitude about how great, how was your weekend sort of thing. So that's kind of, it's just weird things that you remember. I thought that's kind of cool. Which is weird because 32,000 opening weekend nowadays, 26 years later, it's like, not that big of a deal. But still pretty good. All right, is that all the anniversaries? Yes, deaths this week also. Continuing the deaths, we have Willis Reed, legendary basketball player for the Knicks. He died this week. Paul Grant, character actor who was in the Harry Potter movies and Labyrinth, died this week. Bobby Aradine, excuse me, woman on the iconic Woodstock album cover, she died this week as well. And we're down to our last page of notes. So hopefully be out of here by 1:30, and I'll probably go right to bed because I don't feel like staying up till 2 o'clock anymore because I'm old. The spring equinox, I said I already talked about that, so that happened this week. So boom, I can check that off. Chirian Hines, Rory Kenner, Tanega Mead joined the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power Season 2. Don't know who the characters are, but they will be in that. Vanessa Hudgens is going to be reprising a role she played in Bad Boys and Bad Boys 4. A giant crater was discovered under a sheet of ice in Greenland that they believed it was big enough that it could have been the one that caused the Ice Age to happen. Ancient Roman barbed wire was found in German silver mines. This ancient Roman barbed wire was mentioned in Julius Caesar's age, so that's how old that stuff probably is. Netflix has acquired the rights to the novel The House Across the Lake, and Greg Berlanti will be producing the TV/movie version of that. Twizzlers, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, and Hershey bars now have power banks, so if you want to power up your cell phone, stuff like that, you can get a Twizzler pack or Reese's Peanut Butter pack or Hershey's candy bar thing and stick your phone in it and it'll charge it up for you. Jean-Claude Van Damme is rumored to be playing a ghost in the rumored Beetlejuice 2, which still has not been officially announced yet, so treat it as a tongue-in-cheek sort of thing. We've heard a lot more news about Beetlejuice 2 recently. Jenna Ortega possibly being in it as well, Tim Burton coming back. Now Jean-Claude Van Damme playing a ghost. We'll see if that actually comes to fruition. Brad Pitt has the rights. His production company has the rights to make it, so we'll see what happens. Oh, my Spy gets a sequel at Amazon. Dave Bautista and Anna Faris will be starring in that. Dave Bautista starred in the original one. That one came out also around the time of COVID and did well via streaming because it came out via streaming and people gave them new stuff to look at. Togetic Community Day will be coming April 15th for Pokemon Go's next Community Day. Dad jokes help kids become healthy adults. Okay, cool. Terry Crews of 99 has got his next job. He is going to be leading. He's going to be the lead cast in Jumpstart, a comedy pilot based on the comic strip. I kind of remember Jumpstart, but not really. I don't think I ever read Jumpstart. Yeah, I don't remember. I love it. I think it's a family sort of thing. So it's actually right up Terry Crews's aisle, and it seems like a perfect sort of sitcom sort of setup. So good for him. James Gunn, who is taking over the DC Cinematic Universe, says that he will work with Margot Robbie again. He worked with her in Suicide Squad, the Suicide Squad, I should say. And so she has a place in his new DC universe, which is good. Pickle flavored Frank's Red Hot sauce is now a thing out there. My friend Kim probably enjoyed that. And I think I mentioned that last week. What the hell did I write here? Oh, yeah. Classic cartoon character to appear at the Disneyland, to appear like someone would be dressed up as this character, a classic cartoon character that was created 100 years ago for Disney. And it was before Mickey Mouse. So it was a character that was created before Mickey Mouse by Walt Disney that did not become as hugely popular and then disappeared into the ether and never to return. But for its 100th anniversary this year, they'll be bringing the character back and probably putting them into someone into costume and walking around Disneyland as part of their 100th anniversary thing. So that's kind of interesting as well. Ex-Van Halen band member Michael Anthony has formed a band with former members of Bon Jovi and Aerosmith. Supersized trapdoor spider has been discovered in Australia. These giant-ass spiders that build these little trapdoor things in the ground, and you don't know that they're there until they jump out and bite you. Tornado sucks teacher out of her classroom, but she's okay. Didn't suck her up into the funnel, just sucked her out of the classroom and like threw her somewhere, but she's okay. Didn't die and didn't get sucked up out of the ground. Anniversaries, April, Apollo 18, They Might Be Giants album. Let me see when that it came out this week, but I don't know what the date was. Apollo 18 is one of the best They Might Be Giant albums out there. Studio album. Came out in 1992, March 24th, 1992. So 31 years ago. So that's pretty cool. It's a great album, by the way. If you haven't heard, Apollo 18 is an outstanding album. So it came out 31 years ago. 48 years ago, the McLean Stevenson left MASH, and it was one of the saddest final sequences ever. McLean Stevenson was one of the original members of the MASH TV show, but he decided he wanted to move on. So they had his character fly back home, and they had a big whole goodbyes and stuff like that. And then he flew home. And then the final scene of the show, spoiler alert, Radar comes in while they're all having surgery, and he's not masked up, and they're yelling at him, "You got to get masked up, you got to get suited up." And he said, "I just got news that his airplane crashed and everyone aboard died." So he got out of one war zone to go back to civilian life and ends up dying. It's a awful ending, but a realistic one at that. And that happened that episode aired 48 years ago this week. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Moon debuted 19 years ago this week. And that's it for anniversaries. No more deaths here. The final story of the week comes from a friend of mine who posted this, Brianna, who used to be on the show, did a couple episodes of me back in the old days, who posted a game that she either bought or brought with her to one. She's at WonderCon right now. It's called Wormhole to Uranus, and it is a science fiction, space-themed role-player game that includes drinking, physical challenges, and real consequences, and that sounds absolutely awesome. And I might have to look it up on Amazon to see if it's actually there. So check that out. Wormhole to Uranus. So clever girl. So that's it for this week. I will be doing, as I said, an additional, not additional episode of Dylan Knows. It'll be a episode of Conversations with Myself. We'll be tomorrow. We'll be discussing nostalgia. Not tomorrow. Later today, probably around 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon. I'm going to go grocery shop with my daughter, go to the Cal first, and then I'm going to do this show. So it's going to be called The Nostalgia Zone. It is Conversations with Myself, Chapter 4. And we'll be talking about all aspects of nostalgia, what got me thinking about nostalgia, and why I'm not that nostalgic about stuff, but why people may be nostalgic about stuff. So thanks for watching. So again, I'll be doing a show later today, probably around 3, 4 o'clock this afternoon, talking about nostalgia. So I'll post that more on Facebook, stuff like that. So my one viewer who you're watching, come back in about 12 hours, 14 hours, and I'll be doing another show for you here live. So that's it. I'm out of here. Enjoy your last week of March. And I'm done.